Okay, we've got an interesting guest here with us today. Just so you know, again, these videos are not edited in any way. What you're seeing is happening in real time. It's not live, but it's not edited either. And there's a reason for that because we want to hear the full story. And we've got someone who's going to share a very interesting life story with us. And hopefully it's going to help you. She's also an author as well, so she's written about this in great detail. But again, we're just sort of going over a summary of it today, just to sort of give you an idea. So I'll just give you a bit of a blurb, the audience, about what we're going to go into. But believe me, it's going to get a lot darker once we go further into it. So it's about corruption to a degree. This is a blurb from someone called Brittany Lorenz's book, okay? And she's with us here. I'll actually just show you so you can see her. She's there. She's smiling. Hello, Brittany.
Hi.
Okay. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a blurb just so the guys at home know what we're about to discuss. It's basically a lot of it's to do with mental illness because let's talk about mental illness for a second. Just me and you, the audience. When does mental illness become a crime? That's an interesting conversation in itself. Brittany's written a book that highlights the dangers of untrained police officers handling mental health crises based on the author's personal experience. In the book, it argues that such situations turn health crises into legal issues, advocating for reform in the justice system. Now, it's quite interesting she says this. I've not interviewed Brittany before, so this is my first time, but what's about to happen is going to blow your socks off. So before we start, I've just got to make something very clear, and this is what I'm asking you, Brittany. I need your full consent. So before we begin, I just want to confirm for the recording that this conversation is based entirely on your own personal experience and opinions. You understand this interview is being recorded and will be published publicly on my YouTube channel, and you give full permission for it to be used and shared. Are you happy to proceed?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Good. Thank you. Brittany's very brave, by the way, because what you're about to hear is very interesting. So if you're not of a certain age, turn it over because it could be quite distressing. But again, the truth's coming out everywhere, and Brittany's one of them people who are telling the truth, and that's what we need now, isn't it? Some truth in the
Mhm.
world because we're all being lied to. But Brittany's one of them people who says, "I don't care. I'm going to tell the truth." Yeah, because there's power in that, isn't there, Brittany? Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Okay, so
Amen.
yeah, we're gonna get cracking now. Come on, let's get into it. Here we go.
Okay.
Analyzing the news.
People say, why is it called analyzing the news? Because we analyze things, and that's what you're doing today, Brittany. We're analyzing things. Like you've got some big questions, like the rest of us. One of them is in your blurb, which you've just said. But again, the story gets bigger than that. That's just a little summary of what we're going to go into today. So, right, here we are. That's it. We're ready. We're ready for you. So, tell me about what's going on. Where do you want to start?
Well, it all really sort of began back in 2019. I was living with a roommate of mine and had been living there for quite some time. And I have a son, and I had shared custody with him. I won't go into details about the situation too much. But it was a very toxic co-parenting situation that I had, and it was getting out of hand where I was staying at. So one morning, I woke up at about 10 o'clock, and there was an incident that occurred that morning that I write about in my book that led to me being homeless. Probably before 11 a.m. The situation had basically escalated to the point where my roommate did not want my situation to jeopardize um, any custody issues with his own child. So He apologized to me, but, was basically like, Brittany, I'm sorry that I have to do this, but I'm not going to allow this to affect my custody, so you're going to have to go. And I was in shock, like I just couldn't believe it. One minute I was sound asleep in my bed, and here I am now. I don't know what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go. I'm not from Oklahoma. That's where I currently live. But I was scared to death. So he was like, you need to get your things now. And I mean, there was no notice. There was no time. I had to get out right then, right there.
How old were you at this time, Brittany?
I think I was about 34 at that time. This was, back in 2019. So I was around 33, 34.
Yeah.
I'd never been in a situation like that in my life. I'd never been homeless. I immediately called my parents, and, I was freaking out, and, what am I going to do? He's throwing me out of here. I don't know where I'm going to go. And they had offered to let me come stay there with them. They were living in Memphis at the time. But I knew if I did that, that meant I would have to leave my son. And I couldn't do it. And so I decided I was going to stay homeless and just try to figure it out, just so that I didn't have to leave my little boy. So I started, sorry.
That's okay. It's all right.
I was living in my car there for a while. And it was like the middle of summer. I didn't have anywhere else to go. And then because I was homeless, I lost like any custody or visitation with my son, because I didn't have a place to live. So everything I had was in a storage unit, all his stuff, mine. And I was in the military, so when I got out, I got medically discharged. So I had disability that I was getting every month. But this was, during COVID. Everything was shut down. Everything was everybody was in quarantine. And I just started kind of having like a breakdown at some point, like a mental sort of breakdown. I had to be like hospitalized for a few days at the VA hospital. And then I got released. I think it was just, I lost everything in the storage unit. It all got auctioned off. I lost my car when I got hospitalized. So when I got released, I had to go live in the street, basically. And I was all alone. I was terrified. And I was sleeping on pavement and parking lots, and just scared to death. I tried to keep my phone charged as much as I could, so that if something were to happen, I could, call for help or something. But I was on the south side of Oklahoma City. And, I'm not from here, so I didn't really realize, like, even really how bad of a spot I was in on that side of town. And my phone died one night when I was walking, and everything had been closed down for COVID at 10 o'clock, because they had 10 o'clock curfew set in place. So I was walking and walking, trying to find a place open to charge my phone. And I ended up walking for so long that I was just in so much pain. Like my back, I have really bad back issues. That's why I had to get out of the military. And so I just couldn't walk anymore. And I was like, I have to sit down. So I sat down underneath this tree by the sidewalk, and I wasn't there. It didn't seem like 5-10 minutes even. And this guy comes down the sidewalk on this bicycle, and he approaches me and, what are you doing here? And I'm like explaining, I'm just trying to find somewhere to charge my phone. I can't walk, I'm just in a lot of pain. And he was just a wolf in sheep's clothing. Really, he asked me if I was thirsty, that he had a Dr. Pepper in his bag, in his backpack. And so I said, yes, thank you. And so he goes in the backpack and he pulls out a gun and he marches me to this like utility building that was on a high school campus. I could remember I was walking and I looked over and I could see the lockers like in the hallway of the building. So, and there was like a football field. He gets to this small like utility maintenance building or whatever, and he takes this bar out and he just opens it up like that. And he told me to go inside and sit on this mat that was on the floor. And sorry.
It's okay. What we'll do for a minute, Brittany, let's just stop. Okay, only for a minute, right? This is very brave what you're doing. Obviously, it's very traumatic. So what we'll do, we'll just stop for a minute. Okay, so at that age, you're around 31.
I was like, I think I was about 33, 34 at that time.
Right. Okay. So let's just go back in time a little bit. So, when you were young, young little girl, little Brittany. Okay, you're a kid, aren't you? Okay. So let's talk about little Brittany, the baby. What's she up to?
That was not a much better time, actually. I mean, I grew up, my parents divorced when I was like 5. And my dad just wasn't really around much, still isn't. My mom remarried, and he was an alcoholic and pretty abusive. But I graduated high school and went into the military, and I spent 6 years in the Air Force. And I went to school. I got 4 degrees. I'm working on my 5th one now. I spent 6 years in the Air Force. I got out as a staff sergeant, and then kind of did like ER work for a while. And then I switched over to mental health. I started getting my degree in forensic psychology, and I was actually enrolled in school at the time all this happened, at Southern New Hampshire University, and was in the process of getting my bachelor's in forensic psych there. And I had actually worked in a mental health crisis unit prior to this happening. And I was looking at another job opportunity that was going to be closer to home for me and that paid more. So I left my job at the mental health crisis unit that I had been at. And I had interviewed, I'd been hired, I'd, completed all my paperwork and signed everything. And they had called to tell me that my next phone call that I would be getting was going to be my start date. So they called me that Friday and just started apologizing to me and saying, we are so, so sorry, but with COVID, we're not going to be taking on any new employees. I'm so sorry that, we thought we were going to be able to bring you on, but, the higher ups told us that we're not going to be hiring until we figure out this whole COVID situation. So then when I became homeless, it was like everybody was quarantined. So it was it was bad. Like I didn't even have a job at that time. Luckily, I was getting my disability and everything, but I ended up having to drop out of school.
Can I just
'Cause I,
interrupt you? Just to break it down, because you're giving us a lot of information, which is amazing. But there's so much information because you've just told me you've got a degree. You you're in the art, the forces, and you're at a very high level. And you just said it like it was nothing. I'm like, how'd you get to that point, that position? You don't just get it. You have to work you
right.
hard, don't you?
Yes, you do. I loved it too. I bawled when I had to get out on my medical discharge because I just would have done 20 years, honestly. And it was devastating. And, my commander and first sergeant actually flew down for my medical board. They were really trying to keep me in, but I couldn't deploy anymore. And they were getting like rid of like 60,000 personnel as far as budget cutbacks. And so
Yeah.
if you couldn't deploy anymore, then you had to go.
So I imagine though, if my son's in the army, so sort of the same thing. The forces. There's a camaraderie. Camaraderie, is that the word? People are together. There's a sisterhood, a brotherhood, like a
Yes.
huge family unit. So all these people that you were working with, I'm assuming that were they not still long lifetime friends of yours? That were still
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah. I still talk to some of them to this day. So
So when you left the forces, so the thing is, how did you get from the forces to being on the streets? I know you said you were staying with a friend.
right. I had left. I had gotten remarried, and that marriage was coming to an end, and it was getting to be a situation where it wasn't really safe for me to be there anymore. So that's kind of how I ended up. My friend offered to let me come stay with them to get me out of that situation. So that's kind of, and we gelled so well together that we just stayed roommates, for almost a couple of years.
So everything's going kind of well. You unfortunately you've come out of a bad relationship, a negative, possibly domestic relationship.
Right.
But you've moved yourself from it. Now you've got a roommate, he's a friend. You're living together for a few years, and that's what it is. But then what happens?
So there had been multiple incidences leading up to the day that he actually asked me to leave. I mean, there had been um, incidences at the house via text message, like perjury being committed against my roommate about certain things. It was just a very toxic co-parenting situation, and it got to the point. I talk about it a little more in depth in my book, not too much because I don't want to air all the dirty laundry about it, but it was just bad, and it got to the point. It escalated so much that he just started thinking like, oh my goodness, if his child's mother finds out about all this, mess going on over here, because, of y'all's co-parenting issues, she may decide that she doesn't want my son over here anymore, if she, so and I understood that, I think, I didn't necessarily blame him for wanting me to go because, that's his child, and I understood that. I think what hurt me about it so much was that there was no time for me to prep or to, you know what I mean, to set somewhere else up to live. It was just right then, right there. You
Yeah.
got to pack your go today. So that's what I think was really harsh to me and what kind of got to me.
So there was no warning. There wasn't say you've got a couple of months to find somewhere else. It was just like you need to go
Mhm.
because and the reason behind that is because his partner's sort of saying I'm not happy with this situation for whatever
Right.
reason, right? And was he not supportive at all? Was he just right? You need to go. He didn't.
I mean, he was very, I think, freaked out by what had taken place that morning, and I didn't really think he expected it to go as far as it did.
Right.
Um,
Do you want to
so
go
I
into
think,
that, or do you want to leave that out?
I mean, there's a little bit more detail about it in the book, but I mean, I try to be very careful with what I say about all that, even
Yeah.
when I wrote my book, just because, my son, he doesn't need to hear, you know what I
No.
mean?
No.
Certain things, and I don't want to bash his fellow. His dad is a great dad. I mean, he really is a good dad. And our co-parenting situation now is totally opposite of what it was before, and it's actually doing much, much better. So
Okay. So then you're there. What about your parents? Could you not ring your mother up and say, can I come and stay at home for a while? I'm in dire straits.
I mean,
Stuck.
they offered me that. They did, and I turned them down. I don't know. I guess I just thought, I just could not. I could not bear the thought of just me taking off and going to another state.
Yeah.
With my son there in Oklahoma, like I just couldn't bear the thought of being that far away from him. So, and I just thought, like, I'll figure this out. Somehow I'm going to figure this out. And, um, and then back to the night with him, he had taken me into that building and, had me sit there on the floor, and he shot drugs up his arm. And then he came over to me and kind of held the gun to my head and did what he did to me. And after he was done, he pointed the gun at me and he wanted my bank cards and all my cash. And he was yelling at me to give him my cash and my money. And I was telling him I don't have any cash, and he's like, give me your cards, and cussing at me. And so I gave him the bank cards, and he wanted the PIN numbers to the bank cards. So I gave them to him. And I couldn't believe it. And then he told me like he was going to leave to go use those cards. And before he walked out the door, he told me that he was going to make money off of me. And if I moved, he'd kill me. So he left. And I waited, I don't know, 10, I don't know, like 15, 30 seconds. I don't really know how long. I wanted to wait a little bit because I wasn't sure if like the door, when I opened it, would make a noise and he would hear it, or something. So I waited just there just long enough to feel like he was out of earshot, and I ran. And I ran and I tripped. I lost one of my shoes, but I wasn't going back for it, obviously. So I got up and I kept running. It was a football field I had to run across, and there was this tall chain link fence. I had to climb and get over it, and there was the street, and I was just like, the whole time I was running, like I just thought, like any second, like I was just gonna have like a bullet to the back of my head. And so I got to the street and I waved a truck down, and he pulled over, and I was like hysterical, and I was hyperventilating, and I told him what would happen. I asked him to call the police for me, and he took me to a gas station right up the road, and he went in, told him, call the cops. This is, what he picked me up or whatever. But I was outside on the front of the store, and I was just down on all fours, and I just could not breathe, and I just kept hyperventilating. I couldn't talk, and the next thing I knew, there were like a swarm of cop cars that pulled in there, and they got out, and I was really taken back because I'm still on all fours. I'm sure it looked crazy, but I was clearly in a full-blown panic attack. And the first thing he said to me, the officer, was, "Have you taken any drugs?" And I remember that moment, like, it just made me mad. Like, no, I haven't taken any drugs, you know? And it was almost like they didn't believe me at first until, like, they started backtracking to where I told them he had me held at. And when they started, backtracking to that building, they saw my shoe that I'd lost while I was running. They went in that building and my jacket was still in there, my hat was still in there, and but my backpack that had like everything in it was gone. So I knew he'd been back because the backpack wasn't there. So it was like that's when they, kind of were like, okay, like, she's telling the truth. So I start giving them a description of him and the bicycle. And it was a unique bicycle because it was spray painted and like, I think it's black and white. And so I start telling them about the bicycle. And once I start telling them about the bicycle, they thought they knew who I was talking about. So they pulled a picture of a mugshot on their laptop in the police car, and it was him. And he looks at me and he goes, yeah, we've gotten several other reports from other women of him doing the same thing to them. And I was so angry. Like, I couldn't even believe, like, he'd even said that. And I'm just sitting there, thinking to myself, like, well, when are you going to go get him? Like, if you'd have got him when they told you about him, like, he wouldn't have gotten a hold of me. Well, they take me to the hospital for, them to examine me and all this stuff. And they told me it was going to be like an hour before this person got there because it's like a special person that has to do these exams. And I kind of talk in detail, but I can't really say too much. I go in detail about what happened at the hospital in my book, but I got ready to leave there that night, and I had no shoes on because they'd been booked into evidence, so they wouldn't let me have my shoes or anything back. So I'm like barefoot, and the officer with me that had taken me to the hospital was getting ready to pull out of the parking lot. And I stopped him and I asked him if he would take me to like a shelter or, somewhere, like, because I was just going to be on the sidewalk and I was terrified, obviously, after what had just happened. So I didn't want to go back out on the street. And he looked at me and said that they aren't a taxi service and drove off.
It's crazy. It's like I don't know what it's like in America, but if that happened in England, it'd be all over the news. The police would never do that. They would never say that to you. If they see a woman in distress like that.
Oh, it wasn't the first time I heard it either. I write about it in my book, another encounter I had, like just days. Actually, it was the next day after that. I stood there, on the sidewalk, they left. Well, before he left, I asked him when he told me that. I said, well, what about him? I said, have y'all caught him yet? I said, because if he sees me, he's going to kill me. Like, I know he knows I went to the cops. There's no way if he came back for that backpack that he didn't see those, lights, from all those cop cars. And so I was terrified. And he goes, no, we can't go arrest him until you have an interview with your detective, and your detective's name is, And I just thought to myself, and how would you like me to get there, officer? I'm barefoot, just.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not comparing your situation to anyone else's, but in England, say that happened in England, that person would be arrested immediately on suspicion of assault. That's all they
Right.
need,
Well, I mean,
suspicion.
I didn't understand it either because if you're admitting to me that you've had several other
Yeah.
women report this and you have evidence at the scene, you know, and you have a positive ID on a mugshot, like how is that not enough to go arrest him? That just blew my mind. Like I couldn't even believe. So I mean, he's still out there, you know, roaming the streets,
He's still
you
out
know, and you
there.
want. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he is now or not. I haven't really looked into him since. I tried to have an interview with that detective when I went finally was able to go back and get my evidence. He met me there because my ID and like I didn't have an ID obviously because he had taken my backpack that had my ID and everything in it. So since he was that detective on that case, that he had to be there for me to for them to release it to me. And he showed up and he was like, "Well, I don't have time for that today. You're gonna have to just call my office some other time." And I was like still homeless at this time, so it's like my transportation isn't, you know what I mean?
Did you?
Yeah, but it was ridiculous, honestly.
I just can't get my head around that.
Yeah. Oh, it got worse after that. So I was on the sidewalk. It's like 3 in the morning. They leave. And I was in so much like pain, and I was like, my legs were like black and blue. Um, and so I couldn't really walk, and I had messed up when I tripped and fell. Like I messed up my knee really bad, and so like I could only walk a few steps, and then I'd kind of fall, and then I'd get back up, and I.
Oh my god.
So this old man was like leaving the hospital parking lot, and kind of stopped and saw me. He's this old elderly man, and he had his arm like in this huge cast from his elbow down or his shoulder down, and he like offered to, you know, to get me off the street, give me a ride. And of course, you know, I didn't want anything to do with, you know, anybody. That so I turned him down like twice, I think, and he came back around the third time. He's like, "Listen, I'm not gonna hurt you. Like, I just want to help you." Like, and I could kind of, you know, like tell that, like, you know, he wasn't really any real threat to me. You know, he was pretty, and he was like, "I can't, you know, take you to my house." He's like, "Because my wife would be, you know, upset." He's like, "But." He was like, "Tell me that he works, you know, on flipping houses and stuff." And there was a house that he had been working on. That's kind of, I guess, how he got his injury. That he said, I'll just let you stay there for the night and I can come back and check on you in the morning." And then it's like in that moment, like when you're traumatized like that, you're not thinking, you know, like clearly or rational, you know, it's like you're just in survival is all you're thinking is survival. And so, you know, I'm thinking like, okay, like he's harmless, you know, like, and it's either that or I'm here, you know, and it's like, I don't know why in my head, you know, I know I just wasn't thinking right because I don't know why I just didn't say, and I thought about this like after, you know, later on when I look back on it and I was like, why didn't I just ask him to take me to a shelter like in that moment? But I wasn't even, all I was thinking was like, this was okay. You got a house that's got four walls. That's better than me being, you know. So he took me to the gas station. He got me some water and like some fruit and stuff. And he took me to this house and He's like, here you go. He's like, you'll have to sleep on the floor, but at least you can lock the doors and, you'll be okay. And I'll come back in the morning and check on you. So I slept on that floor that night. And he came back in the morning. And he had like coffee and stuff, for me. He was really sweet, man. And so that morning he was like, well, I can't let you obviously stay here, keep staying here, but he's like, is there somewhere I can take you? And for some reason in my head, I had been at this like IHOP restaurant, like I don't know how long before that, but I remembered it. And for some reason, I was thinking about that restaurant and the waitress there and how sweet she was and everything. And she had talked to me for quite some time when I had been there before. And for some reason, I just thought, just take me there because I know she'll let me use the phone. And I was thinking if I can just use the phone there, then I can call my mom. So he took me there and he dropped me off. He left and I went inside and I got the phone and I go to dial the numbers on the phone and I couldn't remember them. I've known that number for decades. And I could not think of it. And I sat there just staring at that phone and just trying so hard to remember my mom's phone number. And I finally just started crying because I couldn't think of it. So, I sat there. It seemed like I finally just. I was like, you're not going to think of it. So I went outside. And I sat on one of their benches outside. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't even know really I didn't even know where I was in Oklahoma City or anywhere to go. Or I was just sitting there on that bench like, what am I going to do? And
do you want to just take a... Sorry to interrupt you. Do you want to just take a breather for a minute? Because I can see you're obviously upset. It's all right. You're okay now, right?
Right.
It's all right. Breathe. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard listening to it because you're sharing your story. It's horrific, and I'm just coming on the journey with you, and I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
People watching this would be furious now. I'm angry that no one. I know.
That's so much worse. It was like a domino effect, really.
So,
From then on.
when you try to ring your mom because of the state that you're in, and that's natural. You're traumatized. You're gonna forget. Your brain's gonna shut down. You're not, like you said, you knew your mum's number for decades, but then suddenly it's just gone. But again, because you're in shock. You're trying to make sense of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And then I hadn't even been sitting on that bench very long, and this guy came up and sat on the bench across from me. And I could kind of tell he was
from the streets or whatever, you know, and I kind of grown up in that kind of a culture, you know. I went to school kind of in the hood, really. So I was around a lot of gangs and stuff, like throughout school, and kind of witnessed a lot of that stuff growing up. So it's not like you know, I was kind of used to seeing, you know, being exposed to um you know, that even before I became homeless, you know. But I mean, it's like, it's not really like his features frightened me any, or, you know, anything necessarily by his appearance or anything. But I could tell, you know, um he was probably from the streets, and he was and he kind of, you know, started a conversation with me. I think he could tell I was upset, you know. It's like, "Are you okay?" And you know, he's like, you know, "What's going on? Are you all right?" And I just kind of had told him, you know, what had happened to me the night before and the situation I was in. And he was just kind of mind blown, and was a really, really kind um, person. You know, I think God sends his angels, you know, and they come in all forms. And that old man was, you know, an angel, and he turned out to be one for me as well. He once he heard that, he was looking across the street from where we were sitting and noticed that there was a police car over there um, in that parking lot. And he was like, "Well, there's a cop over there. Let's go talk to him. We need to get you off the street. Like, you need to get somewhere safe." He's like, "Let's go talk to him." And I kind of told him, you know, what they had told me the night before, you know, when I tried to get them to take me somewhere. And he's like, "Let's just go see, you know, I don't want you, you know, out here like this. And it's dangerous out here." And so we went up and we talked to that officer, and he gave me the same exact response: "We're not a taxi service."
I don't understand it.
And I was just shocked. Like, I could not believe, like, I had always been, you know, like, so supportive of police, you know, my whole life, and law enforcement. And, like, you expect them to protect and serve, like they say, you know? And it was like, when I needed them the most, they didn't care. Nothing care. They didn't actually didn't protect and serve. Um,
I just,
in my opinion. And I just couldn't believe, you know, and I could tell that he was mad. The person that walked with me over there, he was, you know, he was pretty ticked off at his response, just like I was. And he looked at me and he said, you know, he said, "You look like you're in pretty rough shape." He's like, "I know someone." And he was like, "He keeps a room." Sorry, there's my cat. He keeps a room open for women in the streets who need a safe place to stay. Him and his mom. He was like, "I can take you there." He said, "Because he said it's far, but it's closer than the nearest homeless shelter." And I could kind of tell, like, whether he was willing to go with me to the police to try to get me help, that, you know, he was really trying to help. And he did. He took me there. We walked like oh my God, it seemed so far. But we finally made it there, and he was right. And they opened their home to me, like, and they let me stay there. Like, they was like showing me, here's some towels, you can take a shower, get you some rest. Like, you're gonna be okay tonight. Like, and I just like thought about the irony of it, kind of, like, I mean, this guy had like was gang affiliated, and he did more to help me and protect me than the own police did. Like how does that make sense, And I just was like, I just couldn't even believe it. Like, here I am, and who would have thought, but I really feel like God, he sent me somebody to help me. So
Did you?
I stayed there. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Did you manage to get in contact with your mother?
No, because like I was still kind of like I think I was just sort of unraveling a little bit, like I mentally, because in like time was just a blur. Like, I mean, so like 3 days would seem like 3 weeks in my mind, and I would think I'd been there for weeks when I'd only been there, a matter of days. Like, everything was just, and so I think I don't even honestly think that thought. It was kind of like, I think my brain just, so like when the police left me on the sidewalk, I couldn't understand why I didn't just have that old man take me to, that didn't make, sense to me. But then it was kind of like I think in my brain, it was like, okay, well, we already tried this route and it's not going to work. And so my brain just went like, okay, that's no longer an option. We have to go to something else now.
Because it's not your fault. You're not thinking clearly, because if that happened to anybody, they're not going to have a rational mind. They're going to be irrational. They're going to, like you said, you had no sense of time.
Right. It was scary, and I had been there a couple of days, and the mother there, like the place the people he took me to were, gang affiliated as well. And I think the mother, she didn't like me being there. Normally she was fine, but she could kind of tell that like I didn't necessarily come from the streets, you know what I mean? Like, she could tell that I wasn't, that typical, like that wasn't really what I came from or was exposed to. It made her nervous because there were things they were involved in and things on the property, and I kind of get into a little bit about my book. Like, she was basically nervous, like if I found out some things that had gone on there, that I would go to the police. So she didn't really trust, me being there, and so she kind of wanted me gone. So the the person who taken me to her, it was her son. He was telling me that they were going to send me over to his sister's apartment and to stay there instead, to kind of calm her down.
I think because, sorry to interrupt you, I'm just trying to give you a little breathing space as well, because I know it's hard. That's all right. You're all right. Everything's okay. I think because you're a threat, because you're intelligent. You are intelligent, obviously. You can tell anyway. But you've done degrees. You're not drug dependent or anything like that. You're not like them. You're just in a situation that you've landed on the streets. Because you had a career, a successful career, high ranking. Right. You're educated. This doesn't fit your. This isn't. Right. Yeah.
It made me nervous.
You wouldn't think someone from where you've been to suddenly now be on the streets. So they're suspicious, and on top of that, you're very intelligent. So you're not
Right.
like them, which is a good
Right.
thing.
Mhm.
And you can tell by talking to you, you've got you can see it. You've got empathy. You can tell you're a very caring, loving person. You've got a lot of love inside you. But again, when you're getting involved with gangs and there's no loyalty, it's all backstabbing.
Right.
So you don't fit, so they don't trust you. Good,
Right.
you don't want their trust. You want them to go away. They're not your
Mhm.
people. Your people are, like you said, angels. That's why they turn up every so often, just
That's,
to let you know it's all right. Yeah,
he I was definitely very grateful.
yeah,
Um
of course.
to them. And so but he was set to walk me over there that afternoon, and so his brother was going to walk me there, and so I was getting ready to leave, and he actually gave me like this rosary to take with me, and he told me, it would keep me safe, and I still have it. But when his brother was walking me there, I saw this like church van parked at this gas station as we were walking. And I just got it into my head, like, that's where I need to go. That's where I need to get out of this. This isn't like a permanent solution, or, like that I can't get involved. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't really like
Yeah,
gonna, really, really help me in a long term. I mean, I was grateful for it, but I was like, if I go there though, like, I'll have a better chance at getting like real, help to get me out of this. So I told him I was going to leave and I was going to go talk to these people. And so he didn't want me to go, but I was like convinced, like, no, this is a better option for me. So I go up to this church van, I'm telling these people what's wrong. And they told me they'd give me a ride. And I get in there and it's like things kind of got like blurry at that point. Like I don't even really remember what they look like, really. I can't remember what the conversation was like while we were in the van. I remember being in the van and them telling me that they weren't from, Oklahoma City. They had driven here from some other town, so they weren't, located within the area, but they would, give me a ride. And so I thought, and this is like how your brain, like, just really messes with you. So, like, for some reason, I'm like, okay, well, just take me to a Walmart, right? Because I'm thinking in my head that if I can get to a Walmart then and they can take me there, then I can go in there and I can buy me a phone and then I can call my mom. So I get there and I go to where the phones are, and I'm looking at these phones and I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to get me a phone. I'm going to call my mom. And I look down at the phones and it hits me like, you have no bank cards. He took your bank cards. You can't even pay for this phone. What are you thinking? And I just started falling off. But I'm not, I just couldn't. I wasn't thinking right.
no,
So I walked out of that parking lot. It's like dark out. And now it's like I've given up the only safety I did have. And I have no idea how to get back there. And now I'm all alone again. And I don't know. I don't know what to do.
okay. What we're gonna do, because I don't want you to be upset, because you obviously are upset, and you're very brave, and you're gonna be upset even talking about it. So I think what we should do for now is just leave it for now, because I don't want to upset
Okay.
you, because you're all right now. Everything's okay, right? And it is.
Yeah.
You've got your cat, right? You got
Right.
some weird man from England talking to you with a Hawaiian shirt on. Don't know why it's
Right.
freezing in England. But in the minute,
It's-
yeah, what we'll do, we'll leave it now, obviously, because I'm concerned about it, and then we can do like a part two, can't we?
yeah,
What do you think?
that's fine.
So we can talk about the next part at a later time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I completely, I can only imagine. But I have empathy for you. Massive. Everyone will be. I want to come and save you. Like,
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm okay. You know, it just you get emotional talking
Yeah.
about it.
it's hard.
I'm a lot stronger now, obviously, after, you know, so I mean,
Yeah.
I'm okay now. You know, it's hard to talk, you
No,
know,
of course.
relive all that a little bit, but yeah, I'm doing good. So
The good thing is, we've got to look at the positives, haven't we? We've got to think, right, okay, you're talking about it, so it's not in
Right.
now, it's coming out, and we've got to get this out, haven't we? I know
Right.
people have experienced trauma. Most people experience trauma, not to the degree you have, but to get it out, that's the only way. We've got to talk about it. And again, with you, with that officer, he's not even an officer, is he? He's an idiot, right? You said this isn't a taxi service. I said, well, you
Right.
should be a taxi driver, mate, because you're not doing your job properly.
right,
But
yeah.
again, that wouldn't happen in England. Some people might argue with me, saying some police officers might be like that in England, but I've not seen it. But nothing like that. But there's so many questions around that. It's like, what is going on? What is this?
Yeah.
What world are we living in when everything's upside down? The police are there to protect, but they're not. They're almost just trying to get rid of you. I'm like, what? How
Oh,
is
well,
this?
they did for a little while anyway.
Well,
Oh man. Well, they
and you saved
that's
your...
what's
Sorry, go on.
crazy.
Sorry, go on.
That's what's crazy about it is because the whole situation was just insane to me that they didn't arrest him, they didn't, you know, lock him up, they didn't take me somewhere safe, you know, and then it was just like I didn't matter, you know. It was, you know, but I'm sure if it was their daughter.
Yeah. Well, you do. The thing is, you do matter. They're just idiots.
Yeah.
I want to say idiots. They're not even. I don't even. There's what the word for it.
Well, I can believe. Yeah, they did get, you know, and then this is what's nuts about it is that, so, you know, when I left that Walmart that night, it was like another, I think it was on the street one more night or two. It was like 3 nights. I know it was 3 nights after I had been raped the first time. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean
It's
to say
okay.
that. Sorry.
It's okay.
I was in the street and I hadn't eaten in days. And I was starving and I still didn't have shoes. And I ran into another wolf in sheep's clothing 3 nights later.
What I want to do, just because I don't want you to get more upset about it, okay? I'm just conscious of that. I know it's good to talk about it, but we've got to do it in stages, haven't we? Because
Yeah.
it's that we've got to, haven't we? We've got to take little baby steps, eh?
Amen.
You've got to be gentle with things like this. It's like your cat. You just gently move the cat out of the way. You don't just grab her and throw her. You've got to do it gentle. What's your cat's name?
Well, I have Jax and Marshmallow, and then I have a dog named Peanut Butter Waffles.
It's not named after... Jax isn't named after Jackson off Sons of Anarchy, is he?
No.
Because everyone's had Jack. Oh, but yeah, they're a great cat. I don't have cats. My wife doesn't like them. We have a dog, but we call him the baby. But he's a Rottweiler. But he's like a big bear. But he's gorgeous.
Yeah, I have a one. She's real sweet though. She's adorable.
No, they are great. Animals are amazing because they see you. They don't see anything else. They see you. And they have this unconditional love towards you. That's why animals are beautiful. But yeah, we'll leave it there again because I want. We'll do the other part because this is the story gets bigger, obviously, right? That's why you've written a book on it. So before we leave, what I want you to do is just tell people the audience about your book and where they can get it from?
So this is my book. It's called When Cops Play Counselor, or When Cops Try to Play Counselor, Mental Illness
Can you-
Becomes a Crime.
Brittany, can you bring it closer to the screen, please?
Like this.
When Cops Try to Play... There you go. Cancelled by Brittany Lorenz. What? It's a big book, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's on Amazon, Kindle, Apple Books. You can pretty much find it on a lot of websites. Goodreads has it. It's
Yeah.
available on there as well. And I also keep the Amazon link on my Facebook page as well, if you just want to go on my
And
Facebook.
they can get that just by typing in on Facebook.
Yeah, if you just search on Facebook, the link will be there on the Facebook page.
The thing is, people will be watching this, right? And they could have gone through similar situations, right? Or there'll be people who literally do want to help you, because there's angels in the world. Believe me, I've seen them. I don't mean they've got white wings, like that little old man. They are. They is. I've seen people. They're just selfless. Is that the word? Selfless. They just give. I've seen them, and when they come along, it's like, oh, sort of balances the world out a little bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think the most beautiful people I have ever met in my life were people that I met when I was homeless.
Yeah,
Honestly.
you will. Yeah, and you find out who your true friends are. Okay, so we're gonna go into the second part. We'll do that in the next. We'll do it soon, right? We'll record it in the next couple of days, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's
Because the time zones, because you're in the States, I'm in England. Like I say, it's freezing here. I've got a Hawaiian shirt on. I'm trying to make myself feel warm. But it's been snowing in America, hasn't it? Apparently.
well, it's like actually warm here today. We
Wow.
had some snow and ice come through, but now it's like 70s. And I think tomorrow's it's actually going to get up in the 80s here.
Hey,
So
there you go. I like the bit of the sun. I love the sun. But yeah, we'll leave it there just for now. Again, there's more to the story. You're learning this as I'm learning it. I'm hearing it the first time. I didn't know when I read Brittany's blurb, the back of the book, didn't say anything like this. I did not know this. Okay, and it just shows you when we just have a chat and you share your story, it makes you realize you don't know what's going on in people's lives. You can walk past someone on the street, you just assume they're just like you. You don't know what people are going through, do they? Because you wouldn't think someone like you as well, educated, young, nice, decent. You're a decent person. You can tell.
you
Why is it happening?
try to be. I know. I just couldn't believe it. I never in my life thought I would ever end up homeless. Like if you had told me,
Yeah.
like for that one day I would be homeless, I would have told you were crazy.
Yeah,
I
crazy,
could not
yeah.
believe it, and it was like
Well,
that fast. You know,
yeah.
that fast.
Because if people thought that was going to happen, they'd avoid it, wouldn't they? But they don't think that won't happen to me. That happens to other people.
Like, I just couldn't even believe. Like it was so surreal. You know,
Yeah.
like I just couldn't believe it was like this is really happening. Like I just never in my life
Yeah.
thought.
There's a thing that I always try to remind myself of, because we forget sometimes. There's a thing called the law of polarity. And you think, well, what does that mean? That means you can't have one without the other. You can't have a question without an answer. You can't have up without down. So if it gets really bad, then it has to get really good. So whatever's happened, the equal opposite has to happen. That's how it works. This is what I found. I'm an old man. And believe me, I've seen it. You can be right at the bottom to suddenly be right at the top. If you can be one way, you can be another. So what you're doing now, you're at the other end of the spectrum now. In other words, it was bad, but something very, very good's happening. And just by having these conversations and writing that book and putting it out there and sharing your story, yeah, you're gonna light people up a little bit. Yeah.
My
This is all
pain
right.
kind of definitely became my purpose. You know,
Yeah.
and I think, you know,
Maybe
everything
you're
happens.
and you can look at it like this. I know it's like maybe you're the angel, and that's why all the devils were trying to pull you down. And you're like, oh,
Mess with
yeah.
that.
But always remember this, Brittany. Angels are a lot more powerful than devils. Satan's a liar. God tells the truth. Now think about that. One's negative, one's positive, right? and you're on the positive one. So what's going to happen? Just things are going to start getting very exciting, and doors are going to start opening. But yeah, what we'll do, we'll leave it now. Say, I like your cats, by the way, but I can't go near them because I'm allergic. My wife would kill me if I got a cat, because they scratch the furniture, don't they?
Sometimes I got one in particular they seem to love to terrorize. So.
Oh. Okay, we'll just leave it now then, only because we'll go to the next chapter at another time. But guys, thank you. I say guys, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to the audience. There's the audience. I'm talking to you, Brittany. Thank you so much. People really will appreciate what you're sharing. Bravery is not the word. Vulnerability, is that what you're being? Vulnerable, but brave, and at the same time. No, what's there's no word. I can't articulate it. What's it called when someone has experienced huge trauma and they're still able to say, this is what happened, and be very congruent and specific about what happened. That's not normal. That's a spirit. That comes from somewhere else, doesn't it? And
it sure does.
It does. It's true, isn't it? You can't argue with it. Someone's looking after you. Yeah.
Well, I think you really have to, sometimes I feel like you just have to trust God's ways when you don't always understand his methods. And I think that, it took me a while, but I finally realized, after a while, like looking back on it, that this is what I was meant to do, like this, it became my calling,
Yeah.
And so now, it was so horrific, but now years later, I'm grateful now, because I wouldn't have this opportunity today to, speak out and be a voice for other people if I hadn't gone through it myself. So
absolutely. So guys, buy Brittany's book. She's not doing it because she wants to be rich and famous, obviously.
No.
This is hard. She doesn't have to do this. It's easier for her not to tell anyone, but she's doing it. And she'll benefit other people because she's getting a big light and she's pointing it at the darkness. So the little darkness can't come in then, because people like Brittany are going, look, I can see you. And if you put a torch on darkness, it hides, doesn't it? Yeah.
Amen.
Thank you. Really well done for this. You're an asset. You're an asset to humanity.
Thank you.
No, I'll just compliment you all day because I'll just tell the truth, because it is the truth. You're wonderful. You are. You're amazing. And I'm not saying that to make you feel good. I'm telling you because it's the truth. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's true, isn't it?
That really means a lot. Thank you.
Okay, right. So thank you again. Oh, I feel really sad now. Brittany's still with me, obviously. But yeah, guys, that's really sad, that is. It depresses me there in sad news like that. Listen to you, Brittany. It breaks my heart, and it's like, it's too much for me just to hear it. But again, it's got to come out, hasn't it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have awareness,
Exactly, awareness. But guys, put your comments and your thoughts on there. What are we going to do to stop things like this happening, right? It doesn't have to happen. Why is it happening? I want to know what's bloody going on, because it's winding me up. What's happening? Why didn't anyone help Brittany? She's a young girl, vulnerable. Why didn't the police do the job? We can't just go, oh, that's just the way it is. No, it isn't. We've got to start asking questions and get to the bottom of it. We need accountability, because if I was a police officer and I saw Brittany, I would have saved her. That's it. I would have helped her. That's it. No question. So why didn't it happen? Let me know your thoughts and comments below. And until next time, and we'll get the second part with Brittany. But until next time, guys, take care. Look after yourself. And don't judge people. Question things. And ask people if they're all right, because you don't know what's happening behind people's eyes.